And we are back. Luke and xukly getting things started a little bit earlier on, a couple minutes early. That's all right. We're up bright and early. The sun is shining. I'm east, and it's time for some Timmy Tam action. Let's get going here with the official TemTeam Cup May edition. This is going to be Leal versus xukly, and we can get into it right away here. So Leal brought an Acronox team, or a team with Acronox on it at least, for the last match. This time he never fails to bring the exciting stuff. As we can see, Zazar, Piraniant, Mastion, all three of these sort of more off-meta picks, along with his standard Nagais, Volarend, Gaealis, Yowler, and Kinu. xukly's side, we've got a Mimit here, always interesting to see. Kind of a Mimit mid-range, running the Volfi alongside the Kinu, Golzi, Yowler combos. And then Calavis, Tolkien, Volarend to help round out the type coverage. Leal on blue here is going to open Kinu. xukly will respond with Golzi and Calavis, so going for quite a bit of bulk here to or buff up their Tems. We'll see what Luke responds with. Not the worst starting board for a Gaealis, for example, or even a Zazar, who really, this Zazar Tem has to sort of get past its poor turn one, but Luke instead opting for the tried and true KY combo, Kinu Yowler. The one of the most powerful starting duos in the entire game. xukly, on the other side, now is staring down a second ban, and they will take out Volarend as well as Nagais. So the Volarend ban from xukly's side does free up Calavis quite a bit. There isn't quite so much on Luke's team that can threaten down this Calavis, so if xukly is able to support it, it likely will be a very powerful Tem for them. And because you see Kinu Yowler as an opener, it is possible but unlikely that Luke's Yowler is carrying any sort of anti-toxic tick tech. So Toxic Ink can get a lot of value against the Yowler. And then xukly even has the option to create a second one, should they like to. Not anymore, because Luke bans out the Mimit, not wanting that double Calavis action. xukly going with their own Yowler. Luke with the third pick taking Gaealis. Gaealis, a pretty good swap in here to the Kinu to threaten Golzi. Tolkien picked up. This is a kind of a nice pace-slowing Tem, as well as being pretty effective against Yowler if, again, all of this is null and void if Luke is running a speed scuffed Kinu with his Yowler, but so that he can run Chamomile, but no guarantees on that. The Chamomile could just as easily be on the Gaealis. Piraniant picked up. Piraniant is a very interesting Tem. It learns Purgation, which is a physical attack increasing sparks. As well, it has Cold Geyser and Revitalize, so it is able to deal damage, heal damage, and buff up the attack stats of its Tems. Something that could be very powerful when paired alongside things like Zazar and Mastion and Yowler. And we'll get into it. xukly's last pick is Volpi, Luke's last pick is the Zazar, and let's begin. This is game one of the best of two series in the TemTeam May Cup. xukly starting with Golzi and Calavis, and Luke opening with Kinu Yowler. And we can see right away that there is no Chamomile reveal on the Yowler, so it is going to be a little bit vulnerable to the Toxic Ticks from Calavis. We'll see if that is indeed the case. xukly wasting no time. They're going to bring in the Tolkien right away here. Heater reducing the damage output of Luke's board, but Luke swapping out. This is looking like more of a setup turn for him. And the Kinu being slower than the Golzi makes it so that Gaealis will not receive the burn, although it likely would have dodged it due to resistant anyways. Calavis going for the Toxic Tick. That will actually remove the burn from Heater, so Tolkien is in play, but the impact of Heater not really felt here. Luke getting the synergy off with Show Off also means that his Yowler is going to be Vigorized, so this is kind of an uncommon status. The Vigorized status makes it so that Yowler actually only spends half as much stamina on its techniques. So not only is Luke's Yowler +1 attack, but it is able to hit for a very long time. Meanwhile, the Gaialis crystal moves are not super value into the Tulkun, but we'll see what both Tamers go for here. Gaialis is going to retreat. Kinu returns. Luke is committed to raid bossing this Yowler, and he'll do just that. The Fiery Heist comes in onto Yowler. This is going to lock off its item and burn it for the turn. Yowler going for the Savage Suplex. It is going to get Comebacker off of the status move. Not quite enough to KO, though. And then the Strangle from Paul the Calibus means that Yowler will not be taking an action this turn. But the two holds are off of Tulkun, so a speed contest between Tulkun and Kinu. Luke likely wants to use Revitalize here to help buff up the Yowler, but may feel pressured not to do so due to the strong fire attacks coming in. But xukly instead decides, that's it. Let's get out of here. Both Tems retreating to the back. Golzi and Volfi taking their place. Kinu goes for the Hypno play. It will be onto Volfi, and it will be successful. Yowler rests. No longer seized. And with Kinu having delivered the Hypnosis, likely trying to counter out the Fire Tornado, the Golzi is in play, and its holds are off now, so it can deal some pretty powerful damage with Oshidashi as well as its electric attacks. See what it decides to do. Yowler's HP is looking pretty steady, holding at about 60% with 2 Spadef and 2 defense. And that +1 attack, obviously its Vigorized has been purged. Let's see what the Tamers decide to do here. xukly may be kind of looking into a strategy where they try to leverage the burn effect that Golzi's, perhaps this Golzi's running Taser, and Tulkun using Fiery Heist. But Yowler quite resilient in front of a lot of this damage. It means that eventually xukly is going to have to try and take it down. Golzi goes for the Oshidashi. It's going to deal pretty good damage, getting it to about 4 to 3%. Diffuser activates, but no burn. And Kinu coming in with the Revitalize is just going to get rid of that damage. The +1 Oshidashi dealing pretty good damage to Volfi, who is now alert and resting. So xukly taking some pretty big damage on the Volfi there. Volfi now will go down to a Savage Suplex or a Beta Burst from Luke's side. Luke's Kinu pretty fast. That Revitalize was slower than the Golzi, however, so it may be slower than the Volfi. It's unclear. The Volfi living the Oshidashi likely indicates it's got bulk investment rather than speed. The second turn that Volfi's been active now means that Bush is in play, if they want to go for it. xukly goes for Charged Iron Filings. That's going to take away the typing for both Tems, but the Kinu is faster than the Volfi and will land the KO with Beta Burst. Yowler retaliating with Savage Suplex. This is going to deal so much damage, and boom, there goes the Golzi as well. Comebacker, very, very powerful when targeted by a move. And there goes 2 Tems from the side of xukly. Luke with really a masterclass on the Kisiwa meta here. The Yowler creating a near insurmountable issue for xukly's team, as it's already taken out 2 of their Tems and brought Tulkun low. the amount of value that this bear is generating for Luke is very impressive. Let's see what the Tamers decide to do here. xukly on the back foot, but with both Yaller and Kinu somewhat low on HP and low on stamina, they may be able to be leveraged against here, but Yaller will instead retreat. Here comes Zazar. Oaken going for the tornado onto Kinu. This will be just barely a KO. Down it goes. Zar resists the Toxic Ink, but it will take the ticks. So a pretty solid 21% damage from that move. Tolkien having access to Fire Tornado now, up against Gaialis, Piranhiant, Yaller, and Zazar. Fiery Heist also off cooldown here. xukly's own Yaller remains in the back. We'll see what Luke decides to bring out here. His Yaller, of course, very strong, but without the Kinu heal, could be vulnerable to Toxic Ticks, as Piranhiant doesn't necessarily want to come onto a board with Calibus, so yeah, Luke opting to go for the Gaialis instead. Decent slot onto most teams. Ask your doctor if Gaialis is right for you. So this Gaialis is in a bit of a speed race here with Tolkien to see who is faster. Fire Tornado landing before Hook Kick would obviously be disastrous, but the Tolkien living a burned Savage Suplex from Yaller could indicate that it's a little bit more bulk invested and not really fast enough to get ahead of the Gaialis. Tolkien swaps out. Yaller comes in, so xukly opting to take the hit from the Gaialis, likely just in the mouth on the Yaller, and that will do pretty good damage. Zazar coming in with Piercing Wheel onto the Calibus, working on this sort of late game tank, vigorizing the Zazar and lowering the Calibus's defense. Calibus going for Strangle, and Yaller is in play with its holds off. Chamomile active. It has a lot of work to do here, though. Oshidashi, of course, could be a pretty strong move into Zazar, but there's a lot of HP on Luke Leal's side that he has to work with these effective HP buffs onto their Yaller. And it is going to be a battle of bears. The Oshidashi strikes true onto Zazar, but not quite enough. And Zazar going for a Synergy Double Edge, buffing the Yaller up a little bit more. Luke really committing to that raid boss lifestyle. Waiting in his chamber for anywhere between 20 to 40 adventurers to get wiped by his big AoE Savage Suplex. Here comes another Piercing Wheel. This is going to set up Yaller really nicely. Lowering the defense of both Tems. Yaller Oshidashi at +1. Boom. There goes the bear. Luke's bear showing who the true raid boss is. Toxic Ink connects. This is going to deal very little damage up front, but the ticks will be value. And now Tolkien is in. Tolkien likely gets to go before any of the Tems on Luke's side. Could perhaps finish off the Zazar or put a dent into this Yaller, but at +3 special defense, unlikely. Paul likely has access to a water move as well, so that could help against the Zazar, who is on the turn where it doesn't actually have a good move. And now it goes down with Windburst. Yaller opting for the Savage Suplex onto the Calibus. This is going to deal great damage. Calibus a little bit slower. Just goes for another Toxic Ink. Yaller at 15%. Might be in danger from going down to a Tornado here from Tolkien. With Gyalis in play, now the token has to make a choice. It can go for the Gyalis with Fire Tornado or the Yaller with Fire Tornado. It is going to be the Gyalis, but that Gyalis just strong enough to survive. Following up with the Crystal Bite, this will bring down the Calibus. With the Aloe Vera on the Gyalis as well, revealing there, and Oshidashi cleaning up the token. And that'll be the end of this match. Luke taking game one in a way we've all grown accustomed to mid-range taking games. Kinu Yaller scoring KO after KO. So as we wait for game two, we'll see what xukly's counter plan is. As the pick ban order is switching up here. Waiting for the invite to go out here. So heading into that game number two, it'll be interesting to see what the Kinu Yaller anti-tech is from xukly, or if they're simply going to decide to ban that out. Luke obviously showing a that the Calibus opener not fast enough pace to deal with Luke's Kinu Yaller opener. So xukly on blue this time means they will get the first ban of the match. And they're going to go ahead and just ban out the Yaller. Luke will have to likely go for a different game plan this match. See what they decide to do. Luke going into the reserve time a little bit here with their next ban, or their first ban of the match. It is Kinu that's going to be targeted down. So xukly has this first pick now, and then can see what Luke's two replies are in the draft. Again, kind of a well-balanced mid-range lineup here that can put itself in front of many different threats easily. Luke, it's a little bit harder to predict, as Tems like Zazar and Piranhant and Mastion have a bit more polarizing matchups than the other Tems. We'll see what xukly decides to do. Both Tamers dipping into the reserve time for their first pick ban phase. Calibus comes out as xukly's opener. Without the Volarend ban up front here from xukly, it does mean that Volarend is free to kind of come in and threaten this Calibus, although the Golzy second pick would do the same likewise to Volarend. It's going to be Kinu Gyalis instead coming out from the side of Luke Leal. This is an interesting opener. Gyalis notably not a fantastic Tem on turn 1 due to its low move pool damage without holds. But Kinu can definitely help that out, and Gyalis' natural bulk makes it a good answer to Calibus. It takes less damage from Toxic Ticks due to Resistant, and will actually just straight up resist Tolkien's Heater due to that trait. Now, Luke with the next ban of the match. A couple different options for him. Last time he opted to ban Mimit. This time it will be Golzy going down and Volarend taken out in response, not wanting Volarend to run away with the match with no electrics to check it. Volphy is next. Volpe quite strong into much of Luke's remaining lineup, only really threatened by Gaialis and the Lava Wave from Mastium, resisting all of Zizar's moves, doing a pretty good job into Naga and Piraniant as well. And Naga picked out the third pick of Luke's draft. This Naga going to flip the speed tables on their opponent at some point. Very powerful tech for slower Tems like Piraniant, Zizar, and Mastium. xukly goes for Mimit and Yowler to complete their draft. We see here is just a kind of a big, bulky, value-oriented draft where Luke is going to try to outvalue them by using Kinu to bring his Tems to the level of bulk that xukly's Tems possess. And Piraniant picked up as well, so Luke does have multiple scaling options here, presuming that he runs Purgation. Purgation, Piercing Wheel both allow Luke's team to scale offensively, while Kinu providing the defensive scaling as well. So Heater, again, does not apply to Gaialis for turn 1, but Gaialis' turn 1 is not fantastic, so to speak, anyways. Kinu, in front of a Toxic Tem, likely swaps out here, but the only Tem that really likes taking a Toxic Ink is Zizar, so this could be a difficult situation for Luke, as without the Yowler, his tight matchups into xukly's team look a little bit scarier. We'll see how it goes. Gallus not really having access to a boosting move means it is a pretty good target for following up a Piercing Wheel as well as Purgation from Piraniant, Zizar and Piraniant, respectively. But that is a bit of a slow strategy to get going, and xukly is likely going to be trying to hit for value pretty soon here. Tolkien retreats, and Mimit comes in. Now, this Mimit is going to take the Calibus spot, so xukly staring down a Calamari special. Let's see if he wants to try and Tempura this, or go for it raw. Double Gash dealing pretty good damage, and Strangle is going to put the stop to Gaialis taking any moves next turn. The Piraniant is in play. xukly opting to swap out on the Calibus here. Volpe coming in to threaten Gaialis now that it is strangled. Piraniant does go for Purgation, so this Gaialis getting its attack buffed up. Piraniant taking pretty good damage in response to the reactive vial, neutralizing its toxic weakness. That is going to mean that this Piraniant is sticking around for a while. So you can see now a Mimited Calibus and a Volpe on the board. Gaialis, with +1 attack, threatens a Hook Kick for a lot of damage into Volpe. And it does go for that Hook Kick, and it just doesn't KO. 99% damage. Volpe firing back with a Dust Vortex. Purgation, giving some attack. Synergy Aquastone comes out. That's going to hit Gaialis pretty hard, but the Kinu buff, keeping it alive. As that turn, big damage coming out from xukly. The Volpe just barely living. Some cold, hard math right there as it manages to live. Sharp Stabs will go before Plague, taking Volpe out of the match. And Piraniant does go for Revitalize here, so providing excellent support to the Gaialis side, as xukly opts to strangle Gaialis instead. This Gaialis beginning to loom large as a raid boss threat here. Tolkien coming in. But as we can see, this Gaialis getting out of control with the Purgation buffs from Piraniant. As xukly is challenged to create a fast enough damage state to outpace Luke's Kinu buffs and his double revitalized Tems. And with Strangle slowing his their own board down, xukly is definitely feeling the pressure here. Gaialis will retreat. Zazar coming in, potentially to take the wind damage. Mimit does leave, and it will be Calibus returning in its place. So a Cala for Cala swap. The Wind Burst coming into Zazar, pretty good damage, and Piranha goes for Cold Geyser. That is just not quite enough. It does put quite a bit of pressure on Tolkien, but Piranha overexerting to do so likely means that it won't be sticking around too much longer. The Calibus now in a slot where xukly cannot duplicate it with Mimit, so Mimit coming in here would take on the Zazar if it did so, so not likely a strategy that xukly wants to employ. Falcon likely the fastest thing on the board with Tornado, but it will swap instead, opting to keep that Tornado for later. Yowler coming in. Leal swapping out the Piranha, and this is, of course, a Kinu. The flops going on to Zazar here. Let's see if xukly reads this swap. Zazar going for Rockfall. Pretty good AoE damage, and Paul does indeed, well, could have been throwing the Toxic Ink into the Piranha, but that tank putting Kinu in a tough spot. Not really able to stay in play for fear of taking another one. Though it does put it in a pretty decent level of HP to clicks on Sacrifice if it wants to really put this Zazar in a good spot. Instead it opts for Beta Burst, favoring damage on Yowler instead. And Zazar continues that trend, pumping damage in the opponent's team, Piercing Wheel, lowering the defense. And, of course, vigorizing the Zazar. Calibus opting to take the KO with Toxic Ink, and Yowler with the Oshidashi won't trigger Comebacker, which deals pretty good solid damage. The Kinu buffs really increasing the longevity of Luke's Tems here, making it very hard for xukly to deal enough efficient damage with their bulky team to win the match. And with Zazar occupying this spot on the board here at +1 defense, means that Luke can bring Gaialis in, and Mimit will be sort of a dead draw for xukly on the Yowler slot, as turning into a Zazar in front of a Gaialis is not a winning play. We do know that Sharp Stabs is not available for Gaialis, but Hook Kick and Crystal Bite both online, and those moves lining up to deal some pretty big damage to Calibus after the defense drop. Nogai's coming in now on the side of Luke in exchange for the Zazar. Crystal Bite, wow, absolutely. +2 attack into a -1 defense Calibus. That is the end of that for the Calibus. xukly going for the Mimit play here. This is an interesting one. It's going to turn into Yowler, but with a Nagais in front of it, this is a lot of damage that xukly is looking to take, and unfortunately, due to how Mimit works, it resets Mimit's holds every time it retransforms, so this Mimit is actually only able to show off this turn. It can't really do much else. Luke likely looking to take advantage of that by swinging away with some sort of mental attack, or they could even look to set up a Madness buff. One turn of Deceit Aura has passed, so Luke has 3 more turns remaining, if it is indeed Deceit Aura. We did see a Deceit Aura sort of backfire last match, but Luke, with those Kinu buffs on the Gaialis, makes it pretty hard for a no-attack boosted Yowler to punch through onto Gaialis with Savage Suplex or Oshidashi. It is a clinch Yowler, so xukly opting to just deal that value damage. It's not going to be very much, though, as Gaialis survives the double in, And that means that Nagice will get that Madness buff off. The hook kick dealing pretty good damage to Mimit. And now xukly's team facing a bit of a difficult spot here. Nagice is well prepared to take out all the remaining members of the team, with Azar and Piranha waiting in reserve to deal with either the Yowlers or the Tulkun. Nagice very, very strong here into xukly's remaining Tems. Able to deal pretty good damage with Nagice's Fury, as well as providing very strong mental damage onto either of the Yowlers. Leal taking some time to consider the move here. A Savage Suplex from either Yowler or Oshidashi from... Sorry, Savage Suplex from Mimit or Oshidashi from Yowler. Likely enough damage to take care of Gaialis, so Luke may be feeling the need to keep those Tems in reserve. This Naga, again, is so well positioned here. Luke does opt to swap out Gaialis. Piranha comes in instead. This is an unbuffed Piranha. Yowler going for clinch. This will outspeed. Pretty good damage. Energy reserves activating. Piranha getting some speed from this. And Nagice will go for the Psy Surge onto the Mimit. This is going to kill the Mimit before I can take a move. Now the energy reserves attack activating on the side of Leal, so this Piranha can hit pretty hard with Cold Geyser, and that plus a Nagice's Fury looks pretty rough for xukly's backline, or xukly's team, sorry, as the last turn of Deceit Aura goes off. Clinch, dealing some chip damage to Nagice, and there it is. +1, +2 Nagice Fury, big damage into both sides. And the Yowler facing down a +2 Cold Geyser, it will go down. So Leal picks up the victory and the 2-0 series win. So congratulations to Leal, and better luck next time to xukly as we head into our schedule. Our next upcoming match is going to be Gold and Axolotus. That's going to be in about 1 hour. So we will see everyone back then. But until then, this is the official TemTeam Cup May edition. And I am East, and I'll see everyone again in an hour.